Hey, this is Rob from JTRpodcast.com, and this is 1846, the race for the Midwest. And this is one of those train games where you own and run railroads for dividends and stock appreciation for companies, and each of these companies has their own president who's making decisions on behalf of the railroad, and kind of your money's separate, your personal money is separate from the railroad's money. And the richest player at the end of the game, the player who's got the most of their own personal money, will be the winner. Now, I've played a few of these kind of games, these kind of train stocks and shares games, but I haven't actually played one before with a proper 18xx title, which I'm very excited about. So here it is. I'm not going to go into great detail, as I very rarely do with these overviews, but I'm going to cover the important bits. I'm not going to go into the minutiae and the if this then that of it all, because there's quite a bit of detail. I don't want to get bogged down in the rules too much. So during the round of a game, you're going to alternate between a stock round where players are going to take turns buying and selling stocks, and then there's going to be two operating rounds where players will use the railroads to take actions on behalf of those railroads. So the stock round is very simple. On your turn, in order, you may sell one of your shares, and then you may buy one stock certificate. That's it, and you're just going to keep going round and round until everyone passes. When you're buying, you can do one of several things. You can launch a railroad that hasn't started already. You can choose its stock value. You pay twice that amount to the company, so that goes from your personal money into the company. And you take the President's Certificate, and the President's Certificate is a share certificate, but it's got two icons on because it counts as two shares. You can buy one share from a company treasury by paying the current stock price to that company and taking a share certificate, or you can buy one share from the stock market by paying its current price as well, and that money goes to the bank, the supply of money. At this point, if you have more shares than the current president, you can exchange two of your regular certificates for their president's certificate to kind of take control of the company. So that's really all the president's certificate is doing, showing who is the president of the company and who will act on their behalf. If you need to sell share certificates, if you sell them in your own company, that's obviously going to cause a bit of doubt in your shareholders, so that's going to drop the value of the company. And it is possible for the share price of a company to go to zero, and if they do, they're out the game. But this is a rabbit hole I won't go down at the moment. And once everybody's passed, the stock phase ends, and if there's any shares in the stock market, meaning people have sold them to the stock market to make money, again, the value of that company will drop by 1. But if a company doesn't have any shares left because all the players have bought them between them, then the value of that company will go up, again by 1 position. Then come the operating rounds. This is where companies act in descending order of stock price, and you kind of take these steps in this order. So you can spend money from the treasury to buy shares back from the stock market, or gain money by selling them. So again, you can buy and sell shares, that's the first thing you do. Then you can lay 1 or 2 track tiles and or place a station. Tiles can be upgraded through various colours depending on the stage of the game, which again is something I won't really get into. They cost $20 each and can cost more depending on the terrain, etc. like that. And a station costs $80, I think it is. So you're going to be spending money from the company's supply in order to build track and stations and stuff. Then you can run a route, and this is to make money. So you move up to a number of stations equal to the value of your train. The better train you got, the more stations they can go to, so the longer the journey, the more money they'll make. You can move up to a number of stations to the value of a train. So for example, if you've got a train that's 2, it can basically go from one station to another and can't pass any stations in between. And you just add up the values of those 2 stations, because each station has a number in circles. You add up any bonuses, because you can get bonuses from depending where you're starting and finishing. Again, I won't go into that, but just know you can get bonuses for the different routes, and you get that much money. If you've got more than one train, you can run multiple routes, so just keep that in mind. It's worth having more trains if you can afford it. But then you've got to decide what you're going to do with that money. So you can either pay the earnings to the stockholders, so that all the stockholders will get a share of the money. So if you've got 50% of the stock, then you will gain 50% of the money made by running the routes. Or you can put all the money into the company, so the company gets all that money to spend on their next operating round, so they can build more tracks, buy more trains and stuff. Or you can half and half, where half the money goes into the company and the other half is divided amongst all the shares. So you've got to decide what you're going to do with your money there. And then you adjust the stock price depending on how much the value of the trains that you ran was, depending on its current share price. Again, I won't go into that. And then you may buy trains, and the larger numbers, as I said, they can run further and they can earn you more. As you pass through the different cities, obviously the value is going to increase for each run. And there's different colours of train, and they get better as they progress through these different stages, the same as the track as well. Again, I'm not going to go into that, just know that eventually some of the earlier trains are going to start to become obsolete, so you need to start buying trains later on because your starter trains are going to disappear from the game. And the game can end in one of two ways. If the bank runs out of money, which is the common way the game can end, or if only one player's left and everybody else has gone bankrupt, which I'm told is quite hard to do. Very, very hard indeed, I believe. So each player will add their personal wealth, the stock value of any stocks they've got, and the face value of any private companies, which are these little cards here. I didn't go into that. You can get them at the start of the game, and they give you special abilities. And the player with the most personal money wins. Any money in any companies you own doesn't count, so you've got to consider that when you're dividing up your money from your payouts from running routes. And I do like this kind of thing. I like having the two separate pots of money. You've got your personal one that you need to win the game, so you need to put all your money into your personal pot to try and get as much money for the end of the game. But then if you don't give your company any money, they can't build routes, they can't buy trains, they're not going to make as much money later on. So getting that balance right is really important. Obviously, if you don't give yourself any money early game as well, you can't buy shares in companies. So most of the money I made was buying shares from another player because I know he was good at these games, so I thought, okay, I'm going to just buy shares from him. I got more money from that than I did from running my own company because it was my first time playing and I wasn't very good. I do like that, but I think this game is a bit too far down the track for me, pun intended, because it's just a bit too deep and a bit too long in game length. I enjoyed Age of Steam, which has got that similar sort of thing, but it's a bit lighter, a bit more accessible, a bit quicker. But hey, I can now say I've played an 18xx game and survived. And I came third of 3 players, but only just. So yeah, it was good. It was good to enjoy. I can see why it's so highly rated, why it's so loved by people who like these kind of games. It's rated 8.1 on Board Game Geek at the moment, and I can see why. I can see why people enjoy these games and play them all the time. They're just not for me. So let me know what you think of this game in the comments below. Remember to like, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at JTR Podcast. You can support the channel at patreon.com/JTR Podcast to find the blog and the podcast at jtrpodcast.com. I've been Rob, aka Jesta ThaRogue, and I'll see you soon.